Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Strategy Game Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Shippey, and today we'll be talking about how you can practice staying on track and aligned with your goals. So today we're talking about recapping this blog post. We had the CEO of Belay, Tricia, on the blog, and really a fan of Belay. If y'all don't know what they do, I'm going to link to it in the show notes here, but they really help teams grow by providing them with all kinds of virtual assistants, accountants, marketing professionals, anything you can think of. So we were honored to have her on the blog, and she talked about how we can actually set goals and then stay on track with them. A lot of times we can set goals, but then really kind of forget about them. We get into the day to day, we get distracted. Do you ever feel like you're in a game of chutes and ladders, weaving through the board every day? And sometimes you hit the ladder, but sometimes you hit the slide and you have to go all the way back to square five. This is what life looks like when you don't really come back and revisit your goals or your visions or your plans for a year. Now, there's a balance here I want to talk about. So the first is really balancing the planning and the goal setting alongside of the walking in what's in front of you. I think there's a lot that can be said for just taking steps and being guided and led through a process and through a process of growth. But there's also the day-to-day goals and how they link to the vision that you've set before you for the coming year. So and every year can look different, right? So this year for me, I received a word, and the word for me for this year was just willing. Are you willing? And I'm still unpacking, what that looks like every single day. But as I have that vision now, how is that translating into what I'm doing every day? Am I willing? Well, what does that look like in all areas of my life? And so if I'm not asking those questions and kind of setting goals around those things, then nothing will really happen, right? So the goals are part of the process that make the vision happen. And in this post that I'm referencing today and really drawing inspiration from, Tricia talks about mid-year assessments. And I want to go through what she references here. So she said, really each year when July rolls around, or when life throws you a curveball, when things are not going according to plan, it's a great time to take time to pull back and review your goals for the year, kind of zoom out and say, okay, what is my vision? What were the goals that I set? How am I doing? And am I off track, right? Think of Chutes Ladders if you need a good reference here. So these are the questions that she asks. Did something take priority and shift focus away from my objectives? And the answer oftentimes can be yes. Was there a lack of determination, follow through, organizational support, or similar that prevented me from executing as I'd planned? Wow, there's a lot there in that. So lack of determination can come from a lot of different things. I think it's important to examine, because lack of determination can come from a lack of ultimately purpose or being maintaining a connection to the vision. So we talk about this as a team a lot. Without vision, people perish. And perish is a strong word, but it really means they're dying a little bit inside as they're doing their jobs every day because they don't understand, or maybe just aren't connecting on a daily basis, how it's connected to the bigger picture. So sometimes we just need to regroup and go back to why we started in the first place. We need to remember why we started. We need to remember how it's connected. And we need to draw new inspiration from that place. So she references a lack of determination, a lack of follow through. So was there something that was standing in the way? Was there something that we needed to do that we didn't do that didn't allow it to come to pass? That's an important question. Organizational support. So are the systems and structures in place to support the vision and then the goals or the initiatives that we've planned for the year? And if not, this is a great time to run a gap analysis. And we have a podcast specifically on running and conducting a gap analysis. I think we also have a free guide at storywork.co that you can use to run a gap analysis. And really, it's simply just identifying the holes or the gaps in process and looking at what you need to do to bridge those gaps with systems or organizational support, or even a reminder to take white space time or go back to your vision and mission and make sure that you're paying attention to that. The next question is, can I identify my roadblocks and are they still an issue? So, if you can't identify your roadblocks clearly or haven't thought about it, this is a great time to do that, because roadblocks really can stand in the way, and they can really vary from thing to thing. These can be personal, they can be business, and let me tell you, personal roadblocks can really impact your professional life as well. So think about the roadblocks both personally and professionally. So emotionally, is there anything that you're experiencing that's maybe holding you back or stifling growth right now? And is there something that you need to do to get the change that you need to be able to move forward? And then professionally, this can look like systems. This can look like systems failure. That can be a roadblock. It can look like what's happening in the current market and what partners do you need to strategically align with to overcome those roadblocks. It can look like many different things. So just focusing on identifying them will be a huge help to you, because once you identify them, they can't be in the dark anymore. They're out there in the light so that you can examine them and look at them and see what you need to do about it. So that's a really powerful process. We talk about this a lot as a team too. Just bringing the conscious to the subconscious is a really huge help. So just by bringing your subconscious thoughts, and you can do this as a team too, to the conscious mind, where you're stating it out loud, you're saying it, you're saying the roadblock or the problem or the esoteric thing, it enables your team to then strategize around overcoming. The next question, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I set the bar too low or too high? What does that look like? So were your expectations too low or too high on a particular initiative or goal? And what do you need to do to adjust it? So here again, you're just running a gap analysis on your own goals and your expectations. So if the bar was set too low, what do you need to do to raise the bar and catch up in terms of expectations and then team and then timeline? If it's too high, in the reverse, how do you need to adjust it? And what do you need to communicate around that to your team? And then, was there something that made me more successful than I anticipated? If so, can I replicate that success to scale it and apply it to other goals? This one I really love, because this is focused around strategy, and that's a huge part of what we do for organizations here. Was there something that made you more successful than anticipated this year? Was there a movement? Was there something that attracted more people than you thought it would? Let's look at that, look at the model behind it, and then replicate it to scale it. So I'll give an example from the marketing engine team here. So we have a couple different offerings. We have the full service marketing engine, which is a digital marketing agency where we handle all of marketing needs for companies and nonprofits. And then we have something called the Marketing Engine Lite. And that is just a scaled down version of the marketing engine. So what we did essentially was applied this question here. The marketing engine really took off, and we thought, hey, there's a lot of value here, but we know that there's another tier of customers right outside that maybe can't afford the retainer model every month, but that want an audit and they want access to the knowledge base here. What can we do to be able to help them as well? And that's where we developed the Marketing Engine Lite. The Marketing Engine Lite is simply a couple coaching calls and an action plan, a complete action marketing plan for teams and for entrepreneurs to be able to go and execute on their own, right? So we took the model, what was working, and we pulled it out, dissected it, and said, how can we make this work at a lower price point for those that can't afford the full retainer services? And we launched the Marketing Engine Lite. So that's just an example of how you might be able to look at certain models and be able to scale it. So that also allows us to scale our audience, right? Because we can serve more people with the Marketing Engine Lite than we can with the full service offering. And then she talks about here, this is really good, inspect what you expect. So accomplishing any goal requires that we inspect what we expect. So whether it's achieving a certain result or implementing a new process or creating new habits, you have to commit to paying attention. When you continually follow up on the things that matter, making sure your goals are running through the processes that you want them to, examining the results, looking at the expectations, you will find that you consistently have better results. And then delegation, right? So this is where Belay really comes in. This is their sweet spot. So asking those questions, inspecting what you expect to keep you on track of your goals, right? The follow through, and then the delegation, because without a team, you cannot be able to accomplish all of your goals. So you've got to enlist the help of others. And I want you to take a minute here to pause and think about what kind of future leaders you need to identify right now to come around you. If you don't have a name, think of characteristics and then start focusing on that. Write it down and keep coming back to it each month and thinking through, is there anyone that fits this category that I've seen that I can stay connected with? Because in some way in the future, it may turn into a partnership. It may turn into an opportunity. I have people right now that I'm thinking about that I know have gifts and talents and strengths that can come alongside of me for future offerings. And I know that in the future, I'm going to maintain those conversations because there's going to be something there. So when life really seems to change and throw us off the rails, throw us off of our guard, when we're experiencing some pivotal moments, we don't need to resign ourselves to continue to go down the same path if it's not serving us. We've got to pivot. We've got to take stock of what we have. We've got to ask these questions, right? We've got to reassess where we are. The key is zooming out. And I always say this, we've got to zoom out sometimes to zoom in. So once we zoom out, we're able to get a bigger picture perspective of what's happening, why it's happening, and then what we need to do to be able to fix it or course correct or pivot wisely. So I hope this episode was great for you. As always, tune in to us at www.storywork.co for more. And I will link to this blog post so you all can read through it and see the questions and share them with your team. Thanks so much.